Hey, everybody. We are back for another episode of Unfiltered Joy. This is the unscripted series for intentional growth, and it's really to have deep conversations about navigating your joy, and joy stands for the journey of you. So I am inviting another epic guest on today to just really show how easy human connection can be when we let ourselves be completely unfiltered. So welcome to Unfiltered Joy, Jenell. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so happy to be here. This is so exciting.
The coolest thing about this is it really comes full circle because Jenell is my second guest on this series, and she was my very first guest. Actually, she's the reason why I started my podcast, Cup of Joy, the podcast.
I kind of was like, Heidi, we're just doing this today.
Jenell is one of my really, really good friends. We both became life coaches together at the same time. We have the exact same birthday. We just connected right away off the get-go, but you've always been one of my biggest cheerleaders in anything that I believe in. Like Cup of Joy, the podcast came to life because you believed in me and it more than I did at the time. And sometimes we just need that person in our lives who goes like, okay, what do you need to do? And I said like, oh, I need to record my first podcast. And you said, okay, let's record it today. And I was like, but, and you're like, no, we're going to record it.
A fun episode we recorded. Like we just talked for like an hour and it just flowed and it was amazing. And you're like, that wasn't so bad. I know.
Yes. I really think that's, we're going to go on a ton of tangents today, but I don't know about you, but I have a lot of friends, clients, humans that I hear say like, I just wish I had more confidence.
Yeah.
And I've realized that confidence, it really just comes with confidence is actually courage in disguise.
When it comes with practice, right? Yeah. We're not naturally, I know very few people who are naturally going to be confident in doing something. It takes doing it, knowing, okay, I can do this. And then you build the confidence in doing it.
Totally. We were talking a little bit about this before we pressed record, and I've been an event planner for over 15 years. And then this year, working for myself, I decided to host my first retreat. And I'm like, I got this in the bag. Like this is literally what I've been doing my whole entire life. But the difference was that I didn't show up to that event as the event planner who just goes like, oh yeah, I set everything up for you. Like, go ahead. Like you're kind of like a ghost when you're the event planner. You're like doing everything behind the scenes. And then everybody who is a guest or a host or a speaker or whatever, like your job is to make sure that they've got everything that they need to look good. Well, when you host an event and you don't have a team because you're just starting out in your business, you are literally everything. And so it was just so different for me to host this first thing where I wasn't afraid to do it, but I wasn't sure how it was going to go because I had never played that role before. And now that I've done my first one and played the role, I have way more confidence than I did the weekend that I actually did it.
Right. But also you probably went into it with a lot more confidence to start with because of your background.
Sure.
Right. Then if someone was just like, I'm going to host a retreat for the first time.
Totally.
You knew kind of a starting point on the things you would need and what to keep an eye out on. So you probably went into it a lot more confident and I can do this, no big deal. And even during it, if you're like, little bit different than I was expecting, a little bit challenging, you came out of it and we're like, oh my God, that was horrible. I can never do it again. Right. You're like,
yeah,
okay, that worked and I can do it better.
Yes. Yeah. If we can give ourselves just like that grace and that kind of pat on the back, like, all right, I learned some really great things here. And we can do that with anything in life, anything in life. Where we get tripped up, I think, is where we try and then it doesn't go out the way
immediately go our way.
Yes. And especially when we get life hooked around expectations, if we can just drop the expectations and go, let's see how this goes. Let's just see how this goes. And then kind of move on from there, and give yourself kudos for how much you actually did put in, Yeah.
And I think, it's this weird space between, it takes practice to become good at something, regardless of what it is, but then also you want the instant gratification of being good at it now,
Yeah.
wanting the clients, wanting the job, wanting to be perfect at running retreats, whatever it is, and finding the balance on letting it be the learning experience, letting yourself be a student, letting yourself take those things and learn from it.
Yeah. And just letting yourself enjoy the journey.
Right.
Like, just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, let it unfold, let everything just be the way that it is. We don't have to control everything, for sure. I have a question that I love to ask my guests in the beginning. And instead of like introing yourself and saying like, this is my job, I do this, blah, blah, blah. The question that I ask people is, finish the sentence.
Oh, okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Finish the sentence. My soul came here to.
Oh. Show others they can love their work.
Ooh, ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Show others they can enjoy their work.
Yeah. Because, we've talked about this, is I recently went back to work, right? I left my job and was doing coaching and a few other various things, and then decided to go back to work because I really missed being part of a team. And choosing to go back to that environment, in the coaching space, there seems to be this big divide of hate corporate, start your own business. There's no in between.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. That's not how it has to be. And so when I went back to work, I was really fortunate that I could take my time and pick what felt best for me. And the job I found is amazing. And I'm so happy with it, and being treated well, being paid well, being being told every day how much I'm appreciated. Like, that actually exists. You can find that. You don't have to hate a 9-to-5 job, which, by the way, I don't think I've worked 9 to 5 yet, but that's okay. It's not important.
And you haven't worked like the 9-to-5
Oh,
robotic setting, but you've gotten paid for all of your gifts and all of your talents, and you're actually loving what you do, which there is this, what do you call it? I was going to say stipulation, but that's the wrong word. There is this idea that if you're in the corporate setting, like, you just have to hate it. And it's just, I love that you say that you decided in advance. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking to give. This is what I'm looking to receive. This is what I'm, willing to put in. And then when I find the thing that works for me, then I'm going to say yes, versus like, can I like it enough to say yes? It's like, no, you really got specific.
I just not hate it.
Yeah.
No. Or even, the whole idea of being a salaried employee in minimum 40-hour weeks. And usually people end up working 50, 60-hour weeks. No.
Yeah.
I don't.
I love what you said too about like, I miss working with people, or I miss being around people, or for you specifically, you're in a leadership position. Like, I miss supporting people, or I miss leading people, or I miss, training people, collaborating with people,
helping develop staff to be like their best, like what that looks like to them, help give them opportunities to further their career, whether that's with me or not, but giving them direction on, hey, if this is what you're looking for, this is how you can help get there. And, that's something that I don't think comes often in those settings. So it really makes me happy to be able to provide that, and hopefully really change how leadership is viewed in those settings.
You know what I think is so cool too, is that I know what a great coach you are and how much you love coaching. And it actually is allowing you to take your coaching skill set and apply it in a corporate setting where you have the flexibility to not be up at all hours of the day. Like I think, oh, here's the word, misconception. I think that there is a common misconception in, I won't even just say the coaching world, I'll say in the world of entrepreneurship, right? Especially with some of our younger generations, and not just there, but I think that there's a generation that's up and coming that's like, screw the man. I'm not working those hours. I'm not doing those things. I'm not going into the fishbowl. I'm not going into all of that. And I do think that companies are shifting and changing, but I think there's this beautiful misconception that, if you work for yourself, all of a sudden you just get to go on vacation all the time.
Yeah.
And you just get to sleep until whenever you want. And you just get to, live this life of abundance and freedom. And
it's more work running your own business than it is running someone else's.
so much. So there is just so much commitment.
Yes.
And the energetics are so different. And there's just this epic amount of responsibility that suddenly shifts onto you to be it all and do it all.
Right.
And there's much more uncertainty. You don't know if your next paycheck is coming, when it is coming, or how it is coming, right? If someone's going to want it or not. And that is important when you're running your own business. When you're running someone else's or working for someone else's, that's still important, but it doesn't feel as heavy, right? It's like, oh, well, if their sales are kind of down, like I still get my same salary and my same paycheck, right? Well, if you're running the show, that paycheck looks drastically different. And so I think that I love that you are speaking the truth around, like, I thought I wanted this, and you're still doing a little bit of dabbling yourself in your own stuff, but there's just this beautiful, like, almost like reuniting with the parts of corporate career life that you actually like, that you love.
Right. Because, my previous job, I was there for 15 years and I did love it, but there were a lot of things that I could see could be, and not just with them, but in that setting, right? In a corporate setting, especially with larger companies. And so getting to develop teams, getting to develop staff, getting to create training programs to help to help people within the organization to achieve whatever it is they want to take. And going back to what you were saying on this misconception, it's great that so many people are kind of standing up and like won't be mistreated by companies anymore, but it does also seem to be, it's an either or. I have to leave my job, or I have to start my own business, or I have to hate my job or start my own business. And there is this beautiful in between space.
Yeah.
You have to love your job and be treated like a human and be paid well and be respected. And so that's really what I'm doing in the corporate setting, is teaching this new leadership paradigm where you can be an ally to your employees. You can, you can be on their side on things, and you don't have to burn yourself out doing it.
Yeah. I think that creates so much loyalty too. Mm-hmm. When people love their jobs and they can find that work-life balance, if you want to even call it that, when they can just like really see themselves, when their job becomes a part of what they love to do daily instead of just something that they have to do Monday through Friday, there's a big difference. Or
even when employees can understand how their role plays into the bigger picture, like that is something that I don't think is given enough value. But how do you expect my front desk person to understand the importance of her job if she doesn't understand how it plays into the bigger role, And so really treating everyone as you're the CEO of your position.
Yeah.
Best in this, for this role.
Totally. I did a whole segment on being the CEO of your life on Cup of Joy, the podcast. And it's like, what does the E stand for? So Chief Energy Officer, Chief enthusiasm officer, like what do you need to be the master of, the executive of today in your life, in your world, in your career, in your whatever it is that you're doing? What do you need today to just really show up in a way that's going to serve your life?
Yeah. Yeah. And then also getting to work one-on-one with clients and teaching them, if you want to leave and find a new job, great. Like, but let's then do the mindset piece around that. So going into a new job, not carrying these old beliefs with you,
Yeah.
right? Doing the mindset work, doing the money piece, doing the what you will not accept. So you go into a new position with a new standard.
Ooh, that's so good. With a new standard. What kinds of old beliefs do you find people carry around the most? What kinds of things are people kind of holding on to that's holding them back?
Right. A lot of it's with the money, right? On if we're underpaid, then tying money to tying their worth as a person to their salary. And so one of the biggest things that shifted for me when I went and looked and was like, this is what my range is. You can either meet me at it or not, or if you don't, buy. But it wasn't seeing it as I'm getting paid, like this is what you're offering me for this role. This is what I'm charging you to work with me.
Ooh, that's really good. This
That
is what I'm worth.
this is
This is what I'm worth.
and the job I ended up taking, my range was higher than what they had planned, and they met me at it.
I think this is so huge because I think what we're talking about here is a worthiness wound.
Mhm.
I think that there are a lot of people in corporate settings that stay because there was a time where people were fighting for jobs in the corporate setting and couldn't become nurses and couldn't become teachers and couldn't become lawyers and couldn't become accountants. Like there was a time where, and again, there's a generation that lives now that never experienced that. We didn't even really experience that, but our parents did and our grandparents did, and they just either don't talk about it much or they still hold those beliefs, and we don't really get why they're old. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the reality is they lived in a time where like you really were supposed to and needed to get a degree to
Climb
get
the
a job.
ladder,
Yeah.
work your way up. And,
Yep.
and so then you end up in these positions like, this is not what I want to be doing.
Right.
Or what I'm making more money every couple years, but like, what does it mean? And there was actually a study that was done on the increase in salary and your increase in happiness. And it's like after $75,000, your happiness does not increase based regardless of how much more money you make.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Because we end up just spending more because we think it's what we want. We think it's what we want, and it isn't. You know?
I think we not only spend more. I think there's like that threshold of you get used to spending a certain, saving and spending a certain amount, and then never go over it. But also then as your salary increases, you start to believe, or your corporation tells you now your responsibilities have increased.
Now you're
so
responsible and you have to work double the hours and you have to bust twice as hard. No,
that's it.
I'm making more money, like at least double, if not close to triple this year than what I was making last year. And I work maybe half as hard.
Yeah.
Half as many hours. Let me clarify that. Half as many
hours. And also maybe you've just learned how to maximize your talents. Like I think that there also comes with all the personal development that you and I have both done, there becomes so much self-awareness around where your energy is going, and you actually learn how to maximize your energy to actually shoot it in a stream of like consciousness with intention. And I think that allows you to cut your time significantly down or redirect it to go like, okay, I'm here, I'm present, like you. Yeah.
If I know I'm most productive between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., I'm giving you 100% in that time. But then there's no point in me sticking around just to say I clocked out at 5. Right. If I'm not doing you any good, right? let me work these 5 hours and I will get just as much, if not more done than me just sitting around for 8 or 9 to say I did it.
And I mean, we know that there are lots and lots of jobs that have time constraints around it. You know, take teachers, for example. It's like school starts at this time, it ends at this time. And then there's some things that I need to clean up then thereafter, prepare for the next day and things like that. Yes, yes, and yes. And we still have to be super intentional about the amount of energy that we're putting towards everything that we're doing. And especially, I think, like, separate the task and the emotion.
Right.
Do you know what I mean by that? It's like, I never even thought of it like that for a really long time. I was just like, okay, there's this thing and then all the energy and all the emotions. But if we can just go like, okay, there's this thing and there's energy that's going to go towards that task. Now, I may like that task or I may not really like that task. But if I choose now to pull my emotional energy into the not loving to do that task,
it's going to make it so much worse.
So much worse, maybe even longer, more
You're
painful,
over it,
more stressful. Yeah, it's like, that's really where I think burnout comes, is tossing in emotional frequencies into the line of the task that aren't in alignment with our best self.
Right.
And if we can just go, there's going to be some things about my job that I don't love doing, which we all have. Can we get rid of the idea that there's this perfect job where we never have to do things that we don't like?
No, I hate like writing refund checks to patients like 5 years ago for like 5 cents.
Yeah.
I'll do it, but I'm going to complain about it.
Totally. Oh man, there are a slew of things that I do not enjoy doing running my coaching business.
Right. But you have to do them.
And those are the things that, and they're the things that you'll never see on my social media, on my Instagram, on my Facebook, on these, you know, segments. You'll never see me doing the things that I don't really like doing. Right. But those things are necessary to allow me to continue doing the things that I love doing.
And to keep your business running.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that you brought this up today, because I think it's so important that especially people who are going out on their own recognize that it's also okay to change your mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like, were you ever met with this part of your brain at all, and maybe not at all, of like, don't give up, don't give up, like, don't go back to it, don't do it.
Yeah, it wasn't super loud or like super aggressive, but it was there. Or just like the voice of, if you go back, it means you failed. No, I'm choosing. I'm 100%. And I made sure to really sit with the decision on, why am I doing it? Am I doing it out of fear on where's the money going to come from? Am I doing it because it's what the path I should be doing, and people, it's, you know, would be disappointed? Or no, it's, I really miss these aspects of that setting.
Yeah. Yeah. I even think that, I honestly do believe that it is okay to have money be a reason to go back.
Yeah.
I think it all boils down to, like, what is the life that I want to create for myself? What are the feelings that I want to have about my life? And I remember you and I having a mentor call one time where she said something like, have a job or a part-time job or something that supports you financially, so that you feel safe building your business and doing things, you know, that you think are going to make you create the impact that you want to have. And I think that that's some of the best advice that I've ever heard anybody say, is it's okay for you to have money that backs you up while you're figuring things out.
Oh, 100%. And I think just being clear on, am I doing it out of fear?
Mm-hmm.
Is fear my driver, and money is just kind of the illusion thing, right? Am I
Yeah.
doing it? I'm afraid I can't on my own, or I'm afraid that I'm not good enough, or I'm afraid the money's going to run out. If you're like, hey, this job is paying me a lot of money and it will afford me the lifestyle I want 100%,
Yeah.
right?
Because mean, I have a lot of respect for people, especially right now, who have been living in pandemic times for almost 2 years now, and maybe find themselves in situations where they're like, I need to work at said job just to make ends meet, just to
Yeah.
keep the lights on, just to do the things. And you know what? That all boils down to safety, right? Our core needs, and having the things that allow you to uh, eventually live the life that you desire. Like, there's just so much respect there for anybody who is watching, going like, well, easy for you to say, like, you're not just keeping the lights on, like, yeah, like, stand up for what you want and get the job that you deserve. And it can be a progressive thing. You
Correct.
can be in the process of, and I think the most important thing is realizing what you stand for, what's important to you, and showing up as that version of you at whatever job you have.
Right.
So,
And that doesn't have to be the end goal,
right.
right? If you're at a job right now where the only purpose it's serving is to pay your bills and put food on the table 100%, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And like, give yourself credit for showing up for that. And no, that's not permanent.
Yes. Yes. And know that while you're at that job, while you're doing the things to make ends meet, who are you? Who are you while you're doing those things?
Right.
What attitude are you bringing? What energy are you bringing? What life are you envisioning and picturing while you're at that job? I know that while I was at my corporate event job, there was a time during that last year where I was studying to be a coach with you.
Mhm.
And we would consistently talk about, like, the day we leave our jobs, the day we leave our corporate jobs, the day we leave our corporate jobs. And it's great and beautiful while you're in a current situation to allow yourself to dream
Mhm.
and desire what is coming your way,
Yes.
to talk about who you are and what you believe is possible for you while you're still in the position that you're in. Right? Like, really, really building the belief, like, I'm here now and I can appreciate the money it's bringing in, the relationships I'm making, the person I'm becoming, the growth I'm having. You can list 1,000 ways of gratitude for the position that you're in, even if you're cleaning toilets. And I only say even if, because I don't love cleaning toilets. Now, if someone watching this loves cleaning toilets, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just, like, that wouldn't be a job I would want. But if I had to do that job, can I clean this toilet? And dream about, think about, believe in the version of me that's not doing that one day,
Right.
so that I can move myself in the direction of what's next for me. And I would have never left my job if my belief in my abilities as a coach did not get to the point where it was like, okay, I have to try and see. And sometimes we try and we see and we're like, that doesn't feel as good as I thought it was going to feel.
I mean, I tried it and it just
Yeah.
wasn't.
And you don't even have to fail at it. You don't even have to fail at your next thing. Like, you might be in a position that you're in right now and you're like, but you know what? I think I want to be a firefighter. And you do all the training and you do all the things and you start fighting fires and you're like, you know what? I
I
don't
don't really want to do it.
think I want to do that. But what about firefighting did I get excited about in the first place?
Right.
Insert said job, right? Insert whatever job. Oh, it was this and it was this and it was this and it was this. Cool. What other opportunities actually allow those gifts to come out? And maybe I can shift into that again while I'm doing this.
Right. And the more we try different things, the more we explore those things, the more we get closer to actually finding the things we do enjoy.
Totally. Yeah. I think if we can get really present with whatever position we're in, and maybe your job is a stay-at-home parent, and recognizing what about stay-at-home parenthood are your gifts.
Right.
throughout the day? Like, what is it? Because that's a really big job that doesn't get acknowledged very much, so that when your kids grow up and you no longer hold that role, right? Is there something else that you want to grow into?
Yeah.
Or call in, maybe not. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. This whole career thing is really, I didn't expect our conversation to go that direction, but it's really cool.
I don't expect half of our conversations to go how they go, but that's the beauty of it.
It is the beauty of it. It is the beauty of it. There was something else on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it. I think just recognizing your gifts too. Oh, this is it. So I also think that there is a stigma around our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation and further back, that is, once you find a job that you're good at, you stay there forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I was at my last job for 15 years. You were at your event planning job for many
15 years.
15 years. And, it got to the point, it for me, it wasn't even necessarily where this is the job I'm retiring from. It just became, well, I'm at 4 years. And if I stay to 5, I get the extra week vacation. If I stay to 6, now I get vested in my 401k. When I'm at 7, I might as well stay to 10 to get the extra week of vacation. And then it snowballed that way. And then before you know it, you're there for a decade and a half. You're like, but what do I really enjoy about this still? Or is this really what I thought I would be doing? Or for me, I really am not making much more money than when I started. And so there was a lot of things going into it, but I didn't leave for so long. One, because I really loved my team. I had an amazing team, and they were a big part of why I stayed for as long as I did. But then also complacency. I was getting paid for at this point, 8 weeks of time off a year. Why would I leave that? And right, I had built up this really cush position that just didn't make sense to leave. And then circumstances changed, and I was given an opportunity that made it a beautiful exit. And now I'm in a position that I never could have dreamed of. It is literally my dream job.
Well, and I think we convince ourselves that these nuances are going to keep us safe and keep us happy. That, okay, I mean, why would I leave this? And why would I leave that? And I'm getting so close to this benchmark.
Why would I start over at someplace new? Why would I go to the unknown? It could be worse. It can be a hell of a lot better too.
Yeah. And we convince ourselves that well, once I get 10 weeks of vacation, that's going to be way better than 2, even though we get the 10 weeks and then we still only take 2 or whatever it is, or
you get in a position like me, and I got to getting to my first year, but then decide I'm working from home when I feel like it, and then use those as travel days.
Exactly.
Work from other places.
I was talking to a client this past year, and she's been very open about it with myself and our groups. And I know that she would be totally fine with me sharing this, and also not sharing names, but she was in that position of leaving this job, but also going down in pay and going down in vacation time. And she'd been in her other job for a long enough time where it's we're growing, we're getting senior leadership opportunities, things like that. And so she decided, I really, really just don't like my boss, and I don't like my job this much. I'm so unhappy. And what it boiled down to was, when she made the shift to the new position, she didn't miss the extra days off or the extra money, because the woman that she was on a daily basis, her happiness level was significantly higher.
10 weeks because you like what you're doing.
Exactly. And you don't need those 10 weeks, because the 2 weeks that you do have, you plan the most incredible experience, and that lasts a lifetime.
Right.
Right. And she's just I am so glad that I left. I've heard her say that multiple times. I'm just so glad that I made that shift, but it's like these stories. Those are those beliefs that you were talking about. There's all these beliefs and stories that we tell ourselves that like it's not going to be okay, because that's our brain's job, is to go like, warning, warning, this is new, this is uncharted
We're breaking the
territories.
norm, we can't do that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We were talking earlier, because I think this kind of like segues in and it can be job related or just life related. Like inevitably there are going to be things that come up in your life that like life happens. We call it like life happens, things get hard, things get messy, things get cloudy. Like, how do you handle it when life throws things at you? Like, how do you do life when, have you had things that life has thrown at you that's just like,
Oh yeah.
like life's going great, life's perfect for me, I've been like thriving for a while, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom.
Bam. Yeah, this year's been crazy in that regard. It's been, looking back, in a pretty amazing year, but there have been definitely those life moments. So 2 weeks after I started said new position, my mom had emergency brain surgery and was hospitalized. And I mean, fortunately, and here's the beauty of the job is, starting a new position, it would be very easy for them to be like, you're new, we can't give you the time off. Like,
Yeah.
you either need to show up or you need to leave. And they were amazing. Like, take as much time off as you need. If you need to work from home, if you need a month, like whatever time off you need, how can we support you?
Wow.
Which was, because then it just made it, I don't even need to worry about that. I can focus on my family and like getting my mom through this surgery. But in how to handle when life throws those things at you. When that happened, that was such a unexpected. None of us were expecting that day to happen and things to go down the way it did. And doing the work has been the saving grace, because when I got the phone call from my dad, I'm like, it's a tumor. If she doesn't have surgery, she's not going to live, more or less. My first thought was to, where can I start drinking?
Yeah.
Or where's a knife so I can cut myself?
Yeah.
And I've never been a cutter, not my thing, but being able to be like, interesting. Why is that
popping up?
Why is that popping up? What is, and being able to have the separation, like, okay, that's an interesting thought. But being able to have done so much of this work and give myself space to feel the fear of possibly losing a parent, feel the fear of uncertainty of what's going to happen with the surgery, not knowing even if she survives the surgery, then what does that mean for her life after? The uncertainty of what does any of our lives look like after this, the uncertainty of what's this mean for my health down the road. There was so much going on in that, and being able to allow myself to really feel all of it. And there's a lot of crying in that beginning, a lot of breakdowns, but then getting to a point of, okay, now I can talk about it. Let me call up one of my coaches and like get a one-on-one with her. Like, okay, this is where I'm at now. I need help working through it. And we did, and it was great. And then shortly after that, I was in an accident and broke my collarbone, and then got derailed again, pretty much on bed rest. And again, fortunately, my job's like, take time off. We're okay. Like, you heal. We'll be okay. We haven't burned the place down yet. We'll be fine. Call you if we need you, but we probably, like, we won't call you. But going from someone being very active, teaching a workout class, to then being told you can't do anything for 3 months, it takes a toll on you, right? It's hard. It's depressing. You get tired of being in bed all day.
Yeah.
And it makes it really hard to want to then do the things you do enjoy, working on the business or, anything fun. But knowing life happens, right? Like, things beyond our control are going to come up. and seeing it for what it is on what is this showing me? Where do I still have work to do? Where is there still growth that can happen? Where there's still triggers I need to work through? Where is there still, what thoughts are keeping me from growing even more? And being able to really allow yourself this space
Mhm.
to feel all of it.
Yeah, I was hearing somebody speak the other day that said, like, our mind is a reminder. It's like the mind is just a reminder of the wounds that need work. I think that was how they said it. The mind is a reminder of the wounds that need work.
Yeah.
So if we're not feeling like you said, if we're not, like, when our brain goes like, I just want to binge drink, maybe I want to hurt myself, da 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 da, like, just let's just sleep for 25 days. Like, if we don't have those thoughts, then our mind, like, we can't know that there's stuff inside our body that needs help. That's all it is. And if we can start to rewire our thought process to go like, hold on a second, like you said, the fact that you've done what we call the work, which is a lot of self-development, a lot of internal work, a lot of questioning, a lot of self-recognition, things.
Yeah.
Right, right. And really going like, where's that coming from? Okay, why does that voice want alcohol? Why does that voice want to hurt itself? Because it doesn't really want either of those things. What does it need? Okay, it wants a hug. It wants love. It wants tears. It wants whatever it wants. Like, it wants
something.
right. It like wants to release all that it's feeling right now. That's all that it's telling me from all of these things that are popping up right now. And if we can know that, we can actually heal much more quickly and not have to put ourselves through the suffering, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's really crazy. I also think another common misconception that's like word of the day. It's like, have you ever seen, I don't think I've only seen it once, but like Pee-wee's Playhouse back in the day would have like a word of the day, and like all the sirens would go off like, where, you said it again.
So,
Yeah, I think misconception is my word of the day. But I think a common misconception is that life shouldn't be hard.
right. If it's hard, you're doing something wrong. And that's especially
Totally.
prevalent in our industry. Like, so many coaches preach that life should be easy. Life gets to be easy, and 100% it does. And also, you're going to have shit thrown at you. And
Yes.
it's okay to be like, this is hard right now.
Yes.
Sucks right now. But no,
Yeah.
it will pass. Like, it's not permanent.
You said
And I
something to
think,
me. Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think where a lot of us get stuck is, it's hard right now doesn't mean I have to suffer.
Mm-hmm. Totally, totally. And you also said something earlier when we were pre-chatting. I wrote it down so I didn't forget. You said, if it's not easy, you're wrong. Or if it's not easy, you're bad. Like, if it's not easy, you're doing something wrong.
No.
If it's not easy, you need to fix something. If it's not easy, you haven't figured it out yet. Like, you're an idiot. Like, you're not worthy. You're not all these things. But the reality is like, I think there's a huge difference between easy and simple.
Yeah.
And I think that
Don't
life,
complicate things. Let things be
yes,
very simple.
I think life gets to be simple, and it actually is simple. We overcomplicate it with the stories, with the bad beliefs or the old beliefs, or I call it BS beliefs. Like, they're just BS. The lies we tell us, limiting beliefs, whatever you want to call it. But I really think that life is simple, but life is hard sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, but it can always be simple.
Yes.
Yeah. And if we remember that, it's like, okay, to me, simple means, what's your next best step?
What's the one thing I can do right
That's
now?
it. And the one thing that you can do might literally be to take a breath.
Yeah. Or
There
to
may
go,
be nothing you can do about it. You know, when you called me and told me about your mom, I was like, oh my God, oh shit, I can't. Immediately dropped my body into like your shoes with my own mom and just went like, how would you feel? How would I feel if this was me right now? You know? And I could empathize all of those things, but there was nothing that I could do because I'm not you. And
right,
even though we're good friends and we've been through a lot of healing together, sometimes the best thing that you can do for your friends is give them space to feel.
right. And that's what I'm so grateful for, of just like someone not being, what do you need? And like not really knowing what to offer. It's just like, feel what you need and I've got you.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we just have to, especially when someone's going through some really intense stuff that we
Mhm.
have no control over. No one in the whole world. Just go, hey, I'm here. I haven't gone anywhere. And maybe I haven't talked to you for a long time, but I can only imagine what that would feel like. I can't imagine what that would feel like. And whatever you may need, I'm here. And
Yeah.
then let people take space with it and let them reach out and let them do what they need to do and check in once in a while. Say
Yeah.
like, I'm still here. I don't expect anything from you. Just know I'm still over here. If you need anything, I'm here.
And that was probably one of the most healing and beneficial things of people who were doing them, just like whatever you need. If you just need someone to be on the phone with you, if you just need love and support, we have that. And at that point, we've both had really crazy years, and it had been a while since we had talked. And you were one of the first people I reached out to, just because I knew you
Yeah,
would have the capacity to hold what I was going through.
totally. Yeah,
Right? It's like, I don't need someone to send me a card or to send it, like, I just need someone to allow me to feel this.
yeah, yeah. I think it's important to have people in your life who can get themselves super grounded. And you're the same space for me, right? Where when you feel completely helpless or just down and out or whatever it is, those big,
Yeah.
big feelings, when you're feeling those, it's important to have somebody that you can go to that can get themselves grounded enough. Like when I was going through my divorce, there was no way, I say no way, but because I did go to my family, it felt really uncomfortable to go to my family because they were really big, big, big feelings and they couldn't stay grounded long enough, or I didn't think they could, to
Right.
hold what I had. And I think a lot of times that's where coaches come in, or therapists, or whoever can
Whatever
be
it
that
is.
for you, to go, your family can love you so much and do so much with you and for you. And sometimes you need people outside of that zone to be the roots, like just be this big, huge tree. Have you ever seen or read the book, The Giving Tree? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And anybody watching this that hasn't, it's like a childhood book, but it's just like, this is it.
Go
How
read
can
it.
we be the giving tree where we're so rooted that you can swing on it, you can carve letters into it, you can do whatever, like whatever you need, I'm here and I've got it. I can hold it. I can hold it all while you're feeling it. And to anybody watching, if you don't have those roots in your life, there are a lot of people. Don't underestimate the fact that there are so many people in this world that are willing to be that tree for you, you know?
Right. And knowing that's what you need is a huge piece of it, because I feel if this had happened before doing all this work, I wouldn't have known that's what I needed.
Right.
Right? I wouldn't have known I needed someone to just hold that space for me, to allow,
Mhm.
so I could feel the big things. So knowing that is a huge piece.
Yeah. I think it would be really beautiful if we started saying to each other and the people around us, it's okay to let it be hard.
Yeah.
Like, I think when we try, there's this thing going on in our world today where, and it's been going on forever, for decades, where it's like, when things get hard, be strong.
Just be strong.
Just be strong.
More resilient.
Yes. Don't ever be weak.
Yeah.
Don't cry about it. And if you do, cry in the shower or cry under a pillow. Don't let anybody see you. And I think it's shifting. I hope it's shifting. I know it's shifted for me significantly. But I think if we can just, instead of like saying, you know, Jenell, be strong. You got this. If I would have said that to you as you've been going through the stuff with your mom, it'd be like, F off, dude. Like you wouldn't ever say that to me, but it'd be like, you be strong. I mean, it's like, you be strong. You know what I mean? Versus going like, you know what? Let it be hard.
Yeah.
Be,
you know what? Like,
yeah. Somebody close to me just lost a really, really good friend to COVID. And when they were telling me about that this week, it just became really real, like how real that is to lose people who are not that much older than me. You know, we're not even talking like grandparents' age. We're talking like not much older than me. To have lost their life to COVID is just devastating. And then they were telling me like, the thing is like, I'm kind of mad about it.
yeah.
I'm kind of mad about it. And I won't go into anything more than that, but, and I could tell that they were struggling because it was like, I shouldn't be mad about this.
Right.
Right. But part of grief is anger. It's not all sadness. It's actually like a lot of anger. And then it shifts into sadness, and then it shifts and on all the things. It's a whole cycle of grief. And we experience grief in many different ways in our lives. But I remember I just turned to this person and I just said, just be angry about it for a while.
Yeah.
Just be angry about it. Like whatever you're feeling, be that. Yeah. And it's a difference of like, I'm going to feel the anger that I have inside my body, because we all know what those things feel like. Sadness is very different from anger, and frustration is very different from anger. All these different things are very different from one another. And we know what they feel like in our body. And if we ignore them, when we try to go like, well, don't be angry, only be sad.
Yeah, you can't be angry. Angry is not a good look on you.
Right. Then your anger basically like plops into your system. Yeah. And just becomes this like disease for you. It literally just becomes this disease, this pain in your system, all the things. And so we just got to feel that until it turns into something else.
You know, I remember when we were in Hungary and I had my car accident, and I remember being on the phone with you very shortly after it happened and just being like, Heidi, you know, everyone's telling me, be thankful you're alive, be thankful you're alive. And I am, but I'm also really angry.
Yeah.
My brand new car that I worked so hard for is totaled through no fault of my own. And you're like, you get to be angry about that too. And I was like, no one's acknowledging that was a loss for me. And you're like, you can be angry about that.
Totally. Yes.
And I allowed myself to be angry about it. Then it was fine. And then I can move on and feel all the other things. But it's like, we almost need permission to be angry. Yep. We need to tell us it's okay.
Yeah. We get to give ourselves permission to feel whatever it is that we feel and validate ourselves, because a lot of times we look around and we're like, I want to feel this way, but I shouldn't. Oh, I shouldn't. And there's a lot of people that we tell things and they're like you said, like, and it's coming from a good place, right? Like it's coming from a good place, especially from your loved ones and things like that. They want selfishly, and I learned this recently, and I'm sure you've heard it about people pleasing. Yeah. That people pleasing is actually a selfish act. And it's been branded over the past couple of decades as people pleasing happens because we're givers, right, and we're lovers, and we're like, I'm just a 2 on the Enneagram and I'm a helper. And so that's why I'm a people pleaser and there's nothing wrong with me. And the reality is, and this is that I'm teasing about that, I'm using that voice because that's the voice that I have lived under for years, thinking like, that's just who I am. Like who I am is somebody who gives a lot and cares a lot. And those things are
about others. So I want them to be happy. That's a good thing.
Right. Yeah. And those have been true beliefs of mine for a long time. And that makes sense logically, right? Like, oh, that's why I continue to try to people please people. But the reality of people pleasers, and I want everybody to hear this, is that people pleasing is a lot of times connected to empaths, people who feel all the emotions. And the reason why we actually people please is because we don't want to take on the feelings of other people feeling intense emotions. We're afraid if we don't people please, like if you're feeling really sad or you're feeling really angry about something, if I don't try to make you feel better, then you're going to feel sad or angry or frustrated. And then because I'm an empath, I'm going to feel it too.
So we're like almost trying to preemptively like negate your feeling.
Totally.
And make it better.
Exactly.
On your feeling.
That's it.
I mean, it makes sense.
That's it.
I can see that.
Right. And it's not, I don't say this so that people pleasers feel vindictive. It's not a vindictive thing. It's
right.
Actually, I say this to share this because it really helped me get rid of or reduce my people pleasing or become hyper aware of my people pleasing. And I really don't do it that much anymore because I thought I was doing it for others. And when I realized I was doing it for me, I was like, oh, ooh.
Or even like, what about it makes me uncomfortable that I don't want to feel this?
Yeah.
What about it makes me uncomfortable? Right.
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a really good growth question. When you find yourself people pleasing, what emotion are you trying to avoid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really great question for people to ask themselves. That's big stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I love these questions so much. I wanted to share one more thing about the hard thing, because I think people can relate to this, especially going into the new year, and people are, starting to make their New Year's resolutions and goals and all that kind of thing. And a lot of times it revolves around like physical body to start with until we become a little bit more evolved. And PS, anybody watching, like, sure, make the physical goals. That's great. It's great to be able to be mobile, flexible, have good energy. Yes, live in a lighter frame, be stronger. Yes, yes, yes. And make sure you extend your goals much greater than that. Like, what do you want your life to look like, feel like beyond your physical being? Because your physical being is just this like structure that your soul is creating memories with. So like, let's do better than that this year. But I'm sharing this because I've started going back to a more structured gym process. And I did that because I knew I could push myself harder. But even as a certified personal trainer, I'm sure you feel this sometimes too, where you're like, I know all the stuff, but I need somebody else to coach me. Like, coaches need coaches need trainers. Like,
I just want someone else to tell me what to do.
Totally. For the next 60 minutes, you tell me what to do next.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it.
About my own workout. Yeah.
Totally. And if I'm at home, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to push myself as hard as I would if somebody else was sitting there staring at me, right? Like, we know how that goes. So I go back to this space, and yesterday I was on the treadmill, and now, mind you, I've made a commitment to movement for like 10 years plus
right.
of my life, and I've gone to this gym for about the last 3 months consistently, at least 3 times a week, sometimes even 4. And so it's not hard for me to press start on the treadmill or know how to do a light jog. I could do a light jog for a long time and be okay. But in this class, they tell you what to do, like get on a hill or run really fast or do all these things. And so yesterday I had a girl next to me who was her first day. She didn't even know how to actually press start on the treadmill, which no big deal. Like, we all don't feel shame around where you're at. Like, you're never going to get to your goals if you're just afraid and you never. So I was like, yes, awesome. I just turned to her and I said, like, hey, press start, 2 times and just start walking. Right. And then our class started speeding up and doing hills and doing all these things. And I could tell she was kind of eyeballing me, like, what am I supposed to be doing? And so I wanted to turn to her, and at this point, my body's starting to feel like I'm getting the voices in my head. This is hard.
Yeah.
It was hard for me, but I think she was looking at me going like, gosh, this is not hard for her. But the reality is, the voice in my head went, it's okay that it's hard, Heidi. Keep going.
Yeah.
You can do hard things, Heidi. Like acknowledging that my legs were feeling heavy and my heart was pumping hard, just telling my body like, I thanks for working. Good job. Good job. It's hard. Good job. It's hard. And I really wanted to turn to her and just say like, it's okay if it's hard,
Yeah.
you
It'll
know?
get easier.
Yeah, it'll get easier. And every day here is going to feel hard.
Yeah.
Because if you allow yourself to, we can always give ourselves a little more stretch.
Mhm.
We can always push the edge a little bit further. You know, we can always read one more page in our book tonight. We can always get up 5 minutes earlier. We can always make that tough phone call to a friend we haven't talked to in a long time. We can always do things that allow us to like push that edge. We can always leave work 2 minutes earlier. Ooh, that's hard for some people. Leave at 4:58. Are you kidding me?
Right.
You know, we can always ask for that raise.
Mhm.
We can always, and it's going to feel hard. Life might feel hard every day of your life, but if you're willing to just go like, it's hard and I can keep going.
Right. It's
It's
hard,
hard.
but I've got it. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny because so I also teach a fitness class, and it is a hard class, not gonna lie. It is designed
Done
to,
it. It's awesome workout. It's hard.
it's hard. It's designed to be hard. It is designed for you not to be able to do every rep. And I find
Yes.
especially with new people, when I preface it and be like, look, this class is hard.
Mhm.
It moves quick. Take breaks as you, but when I tell them this up front, like they push themselves and they make it through. And I'm so impressed at the end of like, you can do hard things. Like, and it was only an hour. It was an hour. Now you're done. Good job.
Yes.
When they know what to expect, I'm like, okay, this next hour is going to be really hard. And then they're done. You're like, that was hard, but I made it through, versus just not knowing what you're walking into. And then it just feels 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you added on. Like, it's okay for it to be hard and I can do hard things.
Yeah.
If we can just say those two things, acknowledge it. Yep, here it is. It's hard and I can do hard things, or you can do hard things. I think I used to train for half marathons and that kind of a thing. I don't anymore. But one of my running coaches would say to me, Heidi, if you can smile, you can keep running. And I would do the smile check all the time. And sometimes it would be like crazy smile. But I was like, I think I can keep going. But I can remember maybe 2 times where I really couldn't. And I thought they were just BSing. Like, of course you can always smile. There were like 2 times when I couldn't, and I stopped. Took a drink of water, loosened up my laces, took the
Mhm.
hoodie off, gave myself some space to breathe. And then when it didn't feel like that anymore and I could smile again, I jumped back in. And I think we have to remember to like loosen up the laces, take off the hoodie, acknowledge the hard, and like keep going.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
Yeah.
So good. This has been such a great chat.
I know. I always love chatting with you. I love all
I
of our
never know what's
podcast
going to come
episodes.
up.
I love doing this. It's just we have such fun conversations.
I never, ever, ever know what's going to come up.
know.
So you're going to have to definitely come back on and just like do this again because it's so much fun. One thing that I invite my guests to do, well, 2 things I invite my guests to do is like tell us where we can find more of you, and if there's not an option, like thanks for coming on, but is there anywhere that people can find more of you?
Yeah, Instagram right now is going to be the best, but that will be where you have updates on if I am moving platforms in the near future at Jenell Consorti, or just check out website www.jenellconsorti.com. Hang out with me there.
And the last thing is, I love to give people like integration work to do or a question or something. Is there anything you want to invite our listeners to maybe try on for size this week based on our conversation?
Yeah. What is one thing that feels hard for you? and what can you do to either make it easier, or just how can you allow yourself to let it be hard?
Yes. I love that. I love that so much. Identify something that's hard for you, or notice it in the moment. Be so present that you literally feel and hear those voices like, this is hard. And you go, okay, I hear you. And you can do hard things. Like, can you just tell yourself this week, like, I can do hard things and keep going. That's such great integrative work. You guys, like the little nuggets that we give you at the end of these podcasts, they are so simple. And if you just try them on for size a few times every week, you're going to notice significant changes. Like this is the work that Jenell and I have been doing for years, like at least the past 2 years, where it's like, okay, that sounds kind of dumb, but I'm going to try it. And then we do it like 10 times and we're like, whoa, I feel like a different person because I did that thing 20.
And you are a different person, right?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Oh my gosh. Well, I love you so much. Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
And thanks for joining us, everybody. Go out into the world, shine your light bright, and love yourself healthy. See you later.
Bye.